his DNA and everything, but he's not doing anything like Ed. Even his music is not like Ed's. So I don't understand. So he responded here when the guy said, Wolf is awesome, but he is not Edward. And he said, no shit, I'm not Edward. We're different people. What is it with you people to say this? Do I walk around like I'm my dad? When people say, hey, Wolf, do I go, no, I'm Eddie. If I was a carbon copy of my father, that would be boring as hell. I'm my own person, you fuckers. So I feel so bad because he gets so mad. You know what I mean? Like,
he can't resist. He can't let it go. But, maybe now that the album is starting to roll out, he'll be a little busier and he won't have time.
Maybe that would be great. Then another one, he said, keep your hate boner in your pants and move on, you turkeys. So anyway, we wish Wolf the best. This is very exciting. I mean, this is like having a really amazing Van Halen album come out, because it is amazing Van Halen, but it's not Van Halen. It's Mammoth WVH. This is going to be fantastic because listen to You're to Blame. Listen to Distance. Look at the cover of the album. This is going to be quality. I can hear it in the sound. You can hear it in the writing. Even the merch looks great. You know what I mean? I could tell whoever's working with him and his team on top of his input here, they're doing it right. And they're actually kind of doing it old school. They're not doing kind of the modern thing, where they just, do the big surprise drop. He's really doing a nice rollout here. So good for him. We wish Wolf the best, and we're very, very excited for June 11th. Hope to hear more before that happens. Of course, last month was Eddie's birthday, and of course Eddie's not with us, and it's sad to celebrate his birthday. But Wolf did make a nice note on Instagram for his father. He noted here, happy 66th birthday, Pop. I wish I could give you the biggest hug and celebrate it with you. I love and miss you so much it hurts. I don't even know how to put it into words. I'm doing my best to hold it together, but goddammit, it's really hard being here without you. Not a second has gone by where you haven't been on my mind, and today will be no different. Love and miss you beyond words, Pop. That was from Wolf. Oh my God, this was even more sad. So Valerie sent out last year's text exchange that she had with Ed. So now this is like their own private text. So like, for example, yesterday I sent David text on his birthday and he responded back to me. So imagine if I took a screenshot of that and then put that on Twitter. This is what she did. So she sent this nice little happy birthday note with I think it was a dog or something like that in a car. And he said, thank you, Val. Love you. Too bad no football today, which is, I guess his birthday was on a Sunday or something like that. But she put last year's text with a broken heart, which is just so goddamn sad. And of course, Janie, his wife, who was married to him at the time of his passing, put happy heavenly birthday, my peep. We love you and miss you so much. There's a picture of her and Cody. So again, everybody's just still so sad about Ed's passing. Of course, his birthday coming by, and then obviously him not being alive, it makes the birthday sadder because the person's not here. But at least everybody's remembering him at that time, and everybody had nice things to say. What do you think, Dave?
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough when they go, and it takes a while. And, when holidays and birthdays and things like that come around, it just reminds you, and you get that melancholy feeling. Of course. I just, hope everyone's doing all right and, marching forward. Sometimes that's all we can do.
That's right. Well, interesting enough, another thing came by this past February 7th, which was the 9th anniversary of the release of A Different Kind of Truth, which was Van Halen's last studio album. Well, Wolf posted this on Instagram. 9 years ago, we released A Different Kind of Truth. It's not everybody's favorite, but I'm proud of my contribution to the formula and the process. The following tour was also one of my favorites. Interesting that he mentioned that comment. It's not everybody's favorite. What do you think he meant by that? Like, do you think he feels like there's flack or something?
No, but there were mixed reviews about that album. I mean, Dave was back and people loved it.
Right.
Remember when it came out, not everyone was like, oh, this is great. Like, you and I love it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we preach that all the time.
Right.
But not everybody shares that. They don't like the sound or, the whole rehashed demos argument. And all that.
Yeah.
Or if you were a Sammy fan, the Dave era may not be your cup of tea. So that's why not everybody likes it. But, hey, that's okay. But Wolf, Dave, and I are not one of those people.
Oh, no.
We love it. And it was Van Halen's last studio hurrah.
Right.
And a great way to go out. And we're really glad you were around to help make that album. Because if Van Halen's last studio hurrah was Van Halen 3,
Well, we are on to talking about Mr. Hagar, Sammy Hagar, the Red Rocker. He had some stuff to talk about with his pay-per-view special. He did an interview with Radio.com, and he spoke about his pay-per-view special, the birthday thing he did in Catalina Island that he did this past October, right? Obviously, that was right at the time of Eddie's passing. He talked about the socially distant shows and, the compromising of this here. So he said here, our booking agent is trying to find ways to do more shows. The drive-in movie theater thing didn't appeal to me, and I couldn't do it. My fans are so crazy. So we did Catalina Island thing, where we said, well, let's have a boat in and see how that works. And that was cool, but so expensive. I mean, you want to talk about paying to play. It's like, man, we had to build the stage, we had to bring the production and everything onto Catalina. We had to stay there for a week with building everything out, and we did a pay-per-view. It was successful, but not financially successful. But that wasn't the idea. The idea was to finish up my birthday bash and get it done. But he said, I'm sorry, I don't want to do any concerts from home. He said, the little things we did were fun, like the lockdown sessions. It was fun for me, but I have my fun walking out onto a stage for 2 hours and playing music and entertaining and talking to the folks and getting feedback. There's nothing that will replace that, and I need it, and I want it. And my fans need it, and they want it. And we've got to have it, so we got to get back to it. I don't want to play to a half a house because we've been offered things like, okay, you can play some things in the States, but if it holds 10,000 people and you can only play for 5, I just know those 5,000 people are going to not stay in their seats or socially distance. The second we start getting it on, I start saying, are we having any fun yet? And holding up the mic in the air, they're going to be in the front of the stage, all unsocially distant, and I'm going to get criticized for it, or I'm going to get sued or fined or something. So it's a bummer. This was interesting. I tell you, I love how frank Sammy is. He's so straightforward. Now, I understand where he's coming from completely. Either do it full tilt or don't do it at all. Personally, I think when he did the pay-per-view show, he didn't like the vibe because he couldn't feel the crowd's energy. It's kind of awkward. Now, he'll never admit that because he has his birthday bash and he spent a lot of money and time and effort putting it together, and I think the show was great. Filmed great, sound great, the performance was great, all good. But he likes that vibe, that live vibe, and you can't get that juice when the audience is not right in front of you. You don't have that energy. Of course, a live concert from an artist is amazing, but the crowd's reaction to them and the exchange between the artist and the crowd is what makes a live event. And I think that Sam needs that feeling. Who can blame him? What do you think, Dave?
I think what it boils down to is that he did not get enough pay-per-view subscriptions.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm thinking when he says not financially successful.
Right.
And let's face facts. And this is going to sound awful. So before you all writing in telling me what a cold-hearted bastard I am, I'm just going to say you're right. From a business standpoint, he could not have timed that better in terms of having that concert right after Ed died.
Right.
Because people are looking for something.
Yeah.
Sammy's doing a live show.
Right.
I mean, he could not have asked, again, this sounds horrible, but it's true.
Right. I know what you mean.
Just could not have asked for better publicity. Right? So if he still did not make any money under that circumstance, then he's probably not going to make any money under a different circumstance. Unless he finds a way to have a concert spending less money. I mean, when he said he had to go to Catalina Island, had to build the stage, and yada, 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 it's like, Sam, you could have went to a local outside venue in California, which is abandoned, filmed it there. The stage is already built. Everything's ready to go. And, maybe he could have made some money that way. I don't know. I'm obviously not in tune with Sam's finances, but I got to believe there's a way to make that work. I don't know. Maybe he didn't charge enough money.
Right.
But, I always say how much you're going to charge before people don't pay.
Right.
But people spend a ridiculous amount of money on tickets to see a concert.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
true. So I don't know. I hear he wants to do a concert the right way, but we're not going to be, even if they have concerts this summer at outside sheds.
Yeah, I don't see it
I don't know that they're going to go full tilt boogie. I don't think they're going to do it.
No, they can't. Well, here's the bottom line. What people don't freaking realize is you can't just have them. You have to set them up. You have to book them. People think about a concert. There's all kinds of people. There's security, there's parking, there's vendors, there's this, there's that. You can't just flip a switch and turn a concert series on. People have to be touring. People have to be active. This all has to be set up and planned ahead of time. It's February right now. A shed has to be completely booked by now and tickets on sale. That's the way that operates. Now, of course, we don't know what to expect in the future. We have no idea what we're dealing with right now. We don't even know what July is going to look like. There's no way to tell that. So you have to already have July sewn up and booked by now and have everything in place. Think about everything that goes on at a concert. The concessions people, the parking people, the security, the ticket people. There's so many freaking elements to a show you don't even realize. People don't even realize the behind the scenes. What do you think, a band shows up? There's 120 people with that band that are stagehands and all kinds of people that work with. All this stuff has to come together. Now, normally when a shed series is coming to your town, those bands are on tour. They're playing sheds all over the country, and they have mapped this out. They've done this for years. But who knows? So the question is that how can you plan a shed tour when you don't know what's in front of you? You can't do that. You can't do it. So now if they're going to do shows, I think it would have to be much smaller, and it would have to be some sort of local stuff. Dave, like the stuff when you saw the Van Halen tribute band, stuff like that, you're not going to get the big shows. It takes too much money and time and effort to get that ball rolling, and you can't start that ball rolling unless you have clearance, because there's just too much money lost. Look at what's going on now. There's so many people that have tickets to shows, and they're trying to get refunds, and they don't know when the show's going to happen, and they're on their third rescheduled date. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's all crap. They should be giving that money back.
It's insane.
That's just crap.
I wrote a story about a Michael Bublé show. They're on their third date, and the third date that they announce is not going to happen. So there's guaranteed that's going to move to a fourth rescheduled date. Come on. I mean, after a while, come on. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, it's just insane. So you can't plan ahead when you don't have the map. It's as simple as that. Also, Michael Anthony and Sammy Hagar did some more press about the Lockdown Sessions album. They were on Q104.3 New York, and they were on there with the DJs. I think it was Jim Kerr who might have been speaking with them. So on there, Sammy was talking about the kitchen sink tour, this fabled kitchen sink tour. He said, that would have been the greatest thing for the fans ever. I would have sucked it up and suffered through it a bit, but not because it would have been horrible. There would have been one element that might have been a little rough, which we won't even talk about. But working with Eddie, Mike, and Alex again would have been a dream come true and would have been the greatest thing in the world. So then they asked him about Gary being involved, and he said, oh, Gary's fine. Gary's a great guy. I love Gary. And Michael said, we invited Gary to come up on stage at Chickenfoot when we were out on tour, and we played on the East Coast, and Gary would come up and sing with us quite a bit. So he made it seem like, well, it's not a problem with Alex or Mike or Eddie or Gary, but there is one element.
Gee, I wonder who he could be talking about. Boozy bop.
So it was so funny. So then the DJ says, and I thought this was so freaking funny. I feel bad even saying this, but it's funny. He said, oh, Gary's a very talented guy, no question. He's a very talented guy. And I keep imagining him sitting in a bar somewhere, and some guy starts talking to him, and then Gary says, well, I was the lead singer of Van Halen once. And the guy goes, nah, are you kidding? What are you talking about? To have to spend the rest of your life trying to convince strangers that you used to be the lead singer of Van Halen sounds like a difficult thing to have to go through. And Sammy goes, hell, I was in the band for 11 years and I have a hard time convincing people. Which I thought was so funny. They also said that in terms of a Eddie tribute, concert. Semi says, it's got to happen, of course. It's got to happen. No one's really connected all the dots with everyone involved, but I have been told, and I have read many interviews with various people involved, with Wolfie, Valerie, Eddie's wife, that he's been married to all this time. They all said, as soon as this is over, we're going to get everybody to get together and do a reunion. I mean, do a tribute or whatever, just a thank you, a goodbye, a send-off, and that's an absolute must. I don't care if it takes 10 years, that will happen. If I'm available to do it, I will do it. And Michael said, we got to celebrate the music. So